Ladies and gentlemen, how are we all doing? Say hello in the chat if you can hear me. Say hello for 3 points. What a way to start 2021 for Oxford United. Absolutely incredible. No, absolutely fantastic if you ask me. Absolutely fantastic if you ask me. Just making sure everything is okay. We've got 4 people. Just making sure everything's working. If everything is working, people, just let me know. Just can you make sure we got the audio looking great and we've got the visual, that it's not lagging too much. Just make sure we can see everything like that. Just someone put in the chat if everything seems to be okay at the moment. Matthew Bell says 5-star performance. Matthew, you couldn't sum it up any better. 5-star performance from a 5-star Oxford United side. Absolutely incredible. Someone just make me sure before I start talking, everything good. Audio sounds good and no lag. Thank you very, very much, Lexi, for letting me know. And hello to you too, sir. Thank you very, very much for letting me know that everything is okay, which means we can crack straight on with the match review for Oxford United. As Oxford United start 2021, Jake Harris, hello, my friend. Oxford United win 5-1. 5-1 to Oxford United. It's all good. 5-1 away. We are back. Boys and girls, welcome to the stream. 5 people already. That's incredible. If all 5 of you could leave a like on this episode of the podcast already, that will be incredible. Thank you so much to everyone who's supporting the podcast or has been supporting the live episodes of the podcast. I really, really do appreciate that as well. What a performance for Oxford United. What an incredible performance for Oxford United in today. 5-1. Tom Merrill says 5-1 away. We are back. We have got to be a little bit careful with the way we look at this. Burton are without a manager. They've just appointed Floyd Hasselbank. He was in the stands today watching the game. He has recently been appointed. Was appointed last night. So they have got a manager, but their manager list today, there wasn't an actual manager from the sidelines. And they're bottom of the league. So we've got to be a little bit careful what we sort of judge, how we judge it. But either way, it's 5-1 to Oxford United. We start 2021 with 5 goals, a 5-goal win. We did concede a goal in there, but 5-1, absolutely incredible. And it is a great start to the year. You couldn't have summed it up better. It's a great start to the year. We had Josh Ruffles scoring 2 goals from left back. We had an assist from Sam Long in there at right back. Absolutely fantastic. We've got 6 people right now. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to Oxford United versus Burton Albion match reaction. 5-1, the first game in 2021, and we win it 5-1. I couldn't have asked for better. We spoke about it in the in the transfer window episode, in the last one live as well. We spoke about a lot of things to do with Oxford United in the next 3 games, and specifically this one as well, and it's been absolutely incredible. Matthew Spells, let this be the start for Oxford United promotion story, and I think that is what we're going to come on to in a little bit now. We look at the league table. I'm so sorry we didn't get the league table in there. Kajar, welcome to stream. I'm so sorry if I've pronounced that wrong. Is it Kajar? I'm so sorry, man. I've definitely butchered that name. I really, really do apologise. But you say mad. 100%. It was a mad performance. It was a mad win as well. Lexi says they need to stay composed and positive mentality. They have got to get more positive mentality. 7 people right now. If all of you could leave a like, that would be incredible. And that's what I mean. What we've got to do now is we've just got to look upwards. There's no point in looking down. We can't change what's happened in other games. We've just got to look at now. We've got to look at what this Oxford United win today means for long term, because we can't look back now. We can't think if we got anything out of those games previously where we be. It's about what we're looking at now. This is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a position where we're 12th in the league table. Yeah, there's a few games in hand on other teams and things like that, but we've got a few games in hand on, I think, on a few teams as well. Jeremy Mills said, which one was the best goal? In my opinion, it was Shadipo, and I think Jeremy, you're spot on there. I think Shadipo's goal was definitely the best goal. That was an absolutely tremendous finish from Shadipo, and Shadipo I think it's been a little bit quiet at times when he started games for sure, but today he just set the world alight. He just clicked into gear. So as that first whistle went, it was just a bang, and it was just a Shadipo masterclass on that left hand side. And I have to agree with you, Jeremy. I think that was the best goal of the game. But going back to Matthew's point briefly about this being the start of Oxford United, it has to be the start now. It's the first game of the year. We've won the game 5-1. It wasn't a great end to 2020. It was a great end in terms of the last fixtures, but the start of the season, which was in 2020, didn't start very well. It didn't start very well. But then coming to the end of 2020, the calendar year, it got much better, and then things just started to progress, and things just started to get much better. Hopefully everything's okay in the stream, audio and quality and no lag. Hopefully that's okay. Because I'm on a roll now. We're just going to continue to crack straight on with it. But we today performed just tremendously. We just went out there from the first whistle, went bang until the end. There was a few downs, and we will mention them briefly. I'll mention them now briefly if it makes a difference. Henry Radburn, welcome to the stream, mate. Ruffles' goal was the best. Oh yeah, I mean, I did just agree with Jeremy's one about Shadiba's being the best. I mean, to be fair, that Ruffles volley was tremendous. Well, it was sort of a volley, wasn't it? But he absolutely belted it into the bottom left-hand corner. That was a fantastic finish, and for a left-back as well, I think it's definitely up there between Ruffles' goal and not Jeremy's goal. Jeremy's goal was obviously Shadipo's goal. I think it's between those two. But now you've mentioned that Ruffles goal, I think that probably does edge it. But the way that Shadipo opened up his body and fired that in the goal was incredible. But like you say, that Ruffles strike was one to be remembered for sure. And I think that's what we need to do, and we need to remember this performance and take this into the next game. Now, obviously, we have got a 2-week break until our next league game, which is frustrating. But what can you do? Matthew Bell says the team is starting to click. Ruffles and Long were class. The two Oxford boys show him putting a statement out to League One, and that is fantastic, and that is a great point once again. Long coming through, the youth, Oxford United is an Oxford boy through and through. I'm pretty sure he's an Oxford boy through and through. He has been there for a long time. I'm pretty sure that is. I know he's a Sunderland fan, but I'm pretty sure he did come through the Oxford United ranks, and Ruffles as well. That was a great performance from the two fullbacks, and I just briefly said before we went live, I saw Carl Robinson say, when you've got fullbacks that can get involved in the goals and can assist like that, you're going to be in for a very good season. You're going to get results. Because when you think about that, if Ruffles hasn't been incredible this season, I think he's struggled a little bit. But now the team's starting to click, like Matthew said, and now the team is starting to sort of gel, and we're starting to really see the best of this side. The left-hand side with Josh Ruffles, he's being just so important. You can see the confidence is literally just oozing from the way he's playing. He's just so important. And then Sam Long as well. I think Sam Long deserves his own mention. I think we can make our own podcast on Sam Long. He's that incredible. The Sam Long, right? This man is a player that has been warming the bench for a few seasons. He came in at the end of last season when Chris Callan's loans finished. He's come in this season and started at right back. Well, he didn't really start at right back, didn't he? Sean Clare started at right back, but then injuries to Rob Atkinson, we saw him play centre back, and then back at right back now. He just made that position his own. He looks like he's just improved as a footballer so much better. We've got 8 people in the chat right now. All of you, give your thoughts on the game. Subscribe if you're new as well. Leave a like as well. This is just regular stuff. Live content at the podcast. It's incredible. If you're new here, leave a like and subscribe to the podcast as well. Turn notifications on so you never miss an episode of the podcast. You always get notified when we go live on the podcast as well. It's a live episode of the podcast. Hopefully everything's going okay live as well. And that performance was incredible. It takes up to 12. It takes us back in the race. I think we're only 4 or 5 points. I think it's 4 points away from the playoffs. And that is what we got. We were rock bottom at one point. You go back to the podcast we've previously done. We look at some of the podcasts we've done. We look at, some of the podcast episodes we've done at the start of the season. I mentioned it so many times. I did mention the fact that we weren't very good. We were bottom of the league. We were rock bottom. And we weren't playing very well. We weren't playing well at all. We were very poor. We weren't good at all. And now look at us. We're on a roll. We're on a roll. We're 4 games on the trot. We struggled when we won a few games at the start of the season. We struggled to get a little bit of consistency. But now we're getting consistency. We're on a run. The only way is up for Oxford United. It's a cliche saying, but it's true. The only way is up, and we can only move forward. And it was a great result for us today. Matthew Bell says Stevens seems to be out. Seems to give our defence more confidence. Thoughts? 100%. He is breathing, bleeding confidence at the moment. And I think you're spot on there. The defence is so important. But because it has been so shaky, and Stevens is helping our defence so much, because when you've got a shaky defence and you've got a defence that looks like it's going to, at the start of the season, I used this analogy a few times in the podcast, we had a defence as crumbling as a poppadom. It was absolutely horrific. It would literally, you could blow it, it'd crack over, it would just smash all over the place. It was an absolute mess. What Stevens has done is he's just come in and gone, I'm the new number 1. I'm going to come in goal, and I'm just going to give every single member of that defence all the confidence they need, because that defence needed confidence, and Stevens just came in and said, I'm here now. You all are going to breathe confidence. And now we've got fullbacks bombing up the field, getting in with assists. Ruffles getting 2 goals this season. It's just incredible. 10 people in the stream right now. If you're new, subscribe. If you haven't liked this episode of the podcast, please subscribe and leave a like as well. This is normal stuff on the Young Fan Podcast. Live's episode of the podcast. Match reaction for Oxford United's 2021 opening day defeat. Far from a defeat. Victory 5-1. Absolutely incredible. Give your thoughts in the chat as well. Alex Dedder says Ruffles literally assisted his old PE teacher from Marlborough. Is that correct? Is that Ruffles literally assisted his old PE teacher from Marlborough? Who did? That is incredible. If that is true, Alex, then I mean that is an absolutely incredible incredible statistic. Absolutely incredible statistic. I think you mean Matty Taylor, don't you? Is that right? Is Matty Taylor is Matty Taylor? I know Ruffles got the assist for Matty Taylor's goal. If that's right, or it might be someone else, that's incredible. Tom Merrill says, how old is Stevens now? Because his potential is looking good. I don't know the exact age of Jack Stevens. I should know. I believe, if I'm going to make a guess, I'm going to look up right now. Alex, you said that is true. That is incredible, man. That is an incredible stat. Well, not a stat, but fact. Jack Stevens, Tom, I believe, if I'm going to make a prediction before I'm just typing it up right now, apologies if I miss a chat, I'm just going to get it up now, because someone's asked a question. I'm going to find it out for you people. Jack Stevens, I'm going to guess 23. And he's exactly 23. I promise I didn't look there. I promise before I said it, I said 23. And he is exactly 23. 23 years old for a goalkeeper. You know, the goalkeepers go prime. I'd say a goalkeeper in their prime is probably about 33, 32. So he's got 10 years left in him. So he's got an incredible future ahead of himself at Oxford United or wherever he goes. But hopefully for Oxford at the moment, because he's breathing just pure confidence. And like Matthew said, to the defence as well as himself. Alex, yeah, it is Matty. Matthew Wilson says, welcome Matthew, I don't recognise your name in the streams, apologies if you are. Matthew Wilson says, thoughts on Sykesy being out of the squad again? Very, very good question, Matthew. I think it's a very, very good question. I think, well, the reason why he wasn't is because, by the way, Cameron Brannigan back. I'm sorry, Cameron Brannigan is back, and I think that is linking a bit to Matthew. I think it's because he wanted to get Cameron Brannigan involved. I think he wanted to get Hall involved. Now, we had mentioned before about Sykes being a little bit of on the edge of this Oxford United squad. If you go back and watch the January transfer podcast yesterday, we mentioned about is Sykes' time at Oxford United up? If my gut feeling of do I want it to be up, it's not. I don't want it to be over. I love Sykes. I think he's a great player, and if he's got really good potential. Something went on behind the scenes between Carl Robinson and Mark Sykes. So I'm interested to see what happens there. But general thoughts of him not being left out of the squad. I don't think we missed him today, scoring 5-1. But it'd be nice to see him get involved, of course, because I like Sykes. Jeremy Mills says, do you think Rob Atkinson do you think Rob Atkinson can be one of our best players in the future? I think he's got everything he wants. I think he's got everything he needs to be our best player we've had, because he looks a bit like, well, maybe not our best player we've had. I mean, you say one of our best players in the future. I think one of the best players, 100%. I think he's really showing signs of Rob Dickie. He's really showing similar traits to Rob Dickie in terms of he's a ball-playing defender. I've mentioned it a few times, but he's a ball-playing defender that plays with confidence. And him and Moore are really sort of creating that partnership. Touch wood, that he stays fit, because that's a bit of an issue. We were trying to get him to stay fit, because when he does stay fit, him and Moore seem to have created a really good partnership there as well. We've got 9 people. If you're new, subscribe, leave a like as well. That would be much appreciated. Thank you all so much for getting involved in this live episode of the Young Fan Podcast. Matthew Bell says, sign Shodipo up permanently. Now, Matthew, I understand why you say that. I mean, I understand what you mean by sign him up. I mean, he had a great game today. But one thing I would say about Shodipo is he's a little bit hit and miss. Today he was definitely on it, and I think the last 2 games he's been on it. I say that, I mean, the last game against Plymouth, was he on it all the time? I don't think he was, but I don't want to be too harsh on him. He was very, very good today. I mean, he missed a sitter. He literally missed an open goal. How did he do that? He should have scored a hat-trick, but that's not a reason for him not to get a good score today, because we are going to be doing the live player ratings where I'm going to say the name, you're going to give him a score out of 10, and that'll be really interesting as well. We've got 9 people in there right now, so I want to hear everyone's score predictions, everyone's score for the players' performances today, whether you watched it, listened to it, whatever you did. Just give your thoughts as well from what you heard on the radio, maybe the commentators or whatever. Just get there. We've got 10 people in the chat as well. If you're watching it, listening to it on commentary, hopefully some of the commentators maybe gave you a good idea of what maybe you could give the players players in terms of a score as well. I want to hear your thoughts on the game, and I also want to do this live score prediction as well. Libban Hared says Shadipo, Hared, is that how I pronounce it? I'm so sorry if it's not. Shadipo 10, that's gang. Nah, Shadipo was absolutely quality today. He definitely was a 10, but we'll come on to it as well. Let's crack on then with the live player ratings, with what I'm going to do. Jack Stephens today, people. 10 being unbelievable, 1 being abysmal, 6 being average, 7 being above average. You get the idea. Give your thoughts. Jack Stephens out of 10. What are you people thinking of Jack Stephens' performance today? I'll give my predictions after a few people have given theirs. A lot of people coming in with their with their scores as well. We've got 2 people already. Alex says 8. Tom says 8. Give your thoughts on Jack Stephens' performance out of 10 today. I'll be very, very interested. Matthew Wilson says 7. Give the lad a break. He's performing. What do you mean by that? Give that a break. He's performing. I don't think I've given him not a break. I think he has been very, very good. He was a bit quiet today, but I don't think I'm being too harsh. 7, 8, 8, 7, 7, 7, 8. Very, very consistent. Do I think I'd give him an 8? I don't think I'd go as high as an 8, but I think I'd definitely go 7. I thought it was good. I thought it was above average. That it was good. He definitely helped the team out as well defensively. I think I have to agree with you people in the chat there. 7 out of 10 for Jack Stephens. Sam Long out of 10. What are we saying? We've got 11 people in now. If you've just joined us, we are doing through the performances of today. Decent performance for sure. 100%. It was a very, very good, decent performance. Good performance to say for Jack Stephens today. 5-1 against Burton today, people. If you've just joined us, we're doing our player ratings for the players Oxford United on their performance today. Sam Long, is that who I said? Sam Long. Matthew Bell has given him a 9. Sam Long. Alex Della gives him a 10. Some high scores. Pretty sure this is the highest scores we've ever had on the podcast. Right now, 9, 10. Sam Long, top man, 9. Matthew Wilson says 10, 3 assists. He did get 3 assists. I'd have to say Sam Long today has got to get the first 10 of the season. First 10 of the season. I don't normally do. I did player ratings before I did the live episode of the podcast, but having you people do your thoughts is incredible. So far for Jack, we've had a 9, 10, 9, 10, 10. I think, people, we give him a 10. That's just me. I'm going to give him a 10. So far we've got Jack Stephens at 7, and I'll write this down so we can sort of summarise at the end. Jack Stephens is getting a 7. Played really well, says Libban. I think he did definitely play it really well as well. Let me just quickly write this down so we can at the end see what we think all together. So far, Stephens with a 7, Long with a 10. He was absolutely incredible as well. Let's move on to the left back. Why not? Let's do the 2 fullbacks. Josh Ruffles, what we're giving him today. Of course, 2 goals. An absolutely cracking goal in there as well. Really good team goal, I guess, for a second, I'd say. What we're giving Josh Ruffles and his performance today. 10 people right now. Give your thoughts on Josh Ruffles' performance today. What are we giving Josh Ruffles? Libban Hair says 8. Matthew says 8. 8 from Alex. Consistency. Henry's given him a 10. Henry, I think you've given... I was going to say I thought you'd give a 10 before, but so far you've given some pretty good scores. Matthew Wilson's given him a 9. So we've got an 8, 8, 8, 10, 9. I mean, to be fair, the majority has given him an 8. But I think 8's a little bit low, you know. I think 2 goals for a fullback is a little bit... It should be given more than an 8. Should we give him an 8.5? Because we've had some 9s, we've had some 10s and 8.5. I think 8.5 is fair. Hopefully you people aren't too annoyed that I've given him an 8.5 as an average, what we're giving. 8.5, is that alright? Any link for the highlights, boys? Normally the Oxford United YouTube channel do that a few hours after the game. Hopefully we could have the highlights of the game as well, because I'll be definitely watching those highlights because it was a cracking game as well. But definitely, I think the Oxford United YouTube do give the highlights as well. With a clean sheet would be a 10. Yeah, I think that's fair as well. And that's, I think, why I've given an 8.5. What are we giving them? If you just joined us, what are we giving the players out of 10? Next player I'm going to do is Elliot Moore. I'm pretty sure he was captain again today. What are we giving Elliot Moore? What are we giving Elliot Moore and his performance today? EFL on Quest at 9 PM. There you go then, mate. There you go. There's the channel for you. There's the channel. Quest. It's not sponsored. But Quest is where you'll find the highlights today. And I'm pretty sure it's on the Oxford United YouTube channel as well. But while you're subscribing to the Oxford United YouTube channel, subscribe to the Unfan Podcast. I'm just saying, it's a little bit better. You don't get this sort of interaction. So far on Elliot Moore, and we're getting a 7 from Tom. We're getting another top man. Alex says 7. Libban. I'm so sorry. Libban. I'm so sorry if I'm getting this wrong. 8 for you. 8 from you. 7, 8. 7, 8, 7, 7. Very consistent, people. I'm loving the people. Keep getting your thoughts in there as well. 7, 7. I think majority is 7 there. Elliot Moore is getting himself a 7 on today's live player ratings, chosen by you. Let's move on then to Rob Atkinson. What is Rob Atkinson getting in his performance today? Lieben, pronounce it like that. Lieben, is that right? Lieben, is that okay? Thank you very much for letting me know. I really do appreciate that. I'm so sorry. Lieben, is that okay? Alex Sinner says 8 for Rob Atkinson. We've got 9 people watching right now. Leave a like and subscribe if you're new. 8 so far on that. 7.5, 8, 7.5. We're finding the consistency here. 8 as well. I mean, 8's currently trumping it for Rob Atkinson. I thought he was good today. Liebman says 8. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right when I say your name there. Giving him an 8. I think majority gives it an 8 there as well. 8 for Elliot Moore and his performance. These are the player ratings chosen by you for Oxford United versus Burton today. Right, we've done the full defence then. Let's move on to the defensive midfielder. I have to say my favourite player at Oxford United right now. I know he wasn't outstanding today, but I think he's the most underrated player at Oxford United. My friend Alex Rodriguez-Gorin. What are we giving Gorin today? Hopefully we get some good scores. I think he deserves it. I think he deserves some decent scores today. I've been waiting to see what you people get. 8-7 so far for Gorin. I wouldn't agree. I wouldn't not agree with the scores coming in now. Consistency, giving some 7s. 8, 7, 7, 7 from people there as well. Give your thoughts on Alex Gorin's performance today against Burton. Another 7 in there as well. I think 7 trumps it, but also think we're seeing a lot of 7s. Lieben says 8. We're giving 2 8s and a lot of 7s. So 7 as well from Jeremy. I mean, we've got a lot of 7s in there, but I think we've got a few 8s. I mean, majority should be a 7, so should we give him a 7? Are we alright with 7? I knew there's a few 8s in there as well. Let's go with 7, because there's a lot of 7s as well. Who's better, Obita or Shadipo? Who's better, Shadipo or Obita? In my opinion, I'm not a massive fan of doing a player versus player. I think as Oxford United, we should I always like to sort of just see him as both, not the same, but I like to see him as both Oxford United players, so I sort of support both of them. But in answer to your question of who's better, Obita versus Shadipo, I think they offer different things. I think Shadipo offers pace, great trickery, great flair. I think Obita offers us something different. He's not as quick, he's not as sort of tricky as Shadipo, but I definitely think his passing is a little bit better than Obita and Shadipo. So hopefully that answers your question. I don't think player versus player, I don't know who, it's really difficult because they're very different wingers, even though they're both left wingers, they're very, very different in that sense. Hopefully that's answered your question, Lieben. Sorry if it hasn't. Right, let's move on to that midfield three. Sorry, we've already done one of the midfield three. Let's move on to the remaining 2. Lieben says cheers. Thank you very much for that question, mate. If you've got any more questions for people, leave them in the chat as well. Next player, let's go with Anthony Ford. Came into the team today. Of course, we saw a substitute appearance from him against Plymouth. But let's see what people are thinking from Anthony Ford's performance today. He started in that midfield 3 for Oxford United. I'm waiting to see a few people give their thoughts on his performance. Anthony Ford, what are we giving him out of 10 today? Alex is giving him a 6, the lowest score so far. Give your thoughts of Anthony Ford's performance as well. I want to see the people's thoughts streaming in with their scores as well. Anthony Ford, what are we giving Anthony Ford today? We're going 2 6s there. Consistent 6s are coming in the chat right now. I'll wait for a few people to give their thoughts in the game as well. James Henry, what's my rating then? I don't think that's actually James Henry. If it is James Henry, that'll be that's quite impressive. We'll come on to James Henry's score in a minute. That's quite crazy. If that is actually James Emery, then I'm not going to believe it because I might sound like an idiot. But, I mean, he's got his full name and he's got a decent profile picture. So if it's actually James Emery, then what is your rating? James, if it's actually you, my rating ahead of you would definitely be a 9 as well. 9 out of 10 for James Emery. I think we can all agree. I don't think it is actually James Emery. But if it is, then you've got a 9. Even if it isn't, I think James Emery deserves a 9. But anyway, Anthony Ford, 6, 6, 6. Matthew says 6. Would have liked to see him get a set piece from Anthony Ford. We didn't really get too many set pieces today, did we? So I'd have to agree there. 6 for Anthony Ford today as well. Other than that, we've got Gorin, we've got Ford. James Henry says, "Cheers, bud. Hope we did you proud today, lads." I mean, if that is actually James Henry, then that is absolutely incredible. I don't think it is, but I've given you that anyway. Anyway. let's move on to subscribe, James Henry. James Henry, if you want to subscribe to the Unfan Podcast, I'll absolutely love you. I'm acting like it's actually him. Subscribe if you're new, anyway. Next player is Goran Ford, and the other player in that midfield was, of course... This is embarrassing. Who was out? Who was in that mid? Oh, I'm so sorry. It was McGuane, of course. Marcus McGuane in that midfield today. What are we giving Marcus McGuane? I thought it was tremendous today, Marcus McGuane. What are you giving Marcus? What are we giving Marcus McGuane in his performance? Alex Della says an 8 in the chat right now. 8 in the chat for Marcus McGuane. 8. Consistent 8, people. I think we have to give him an 8 then. A few people coming in. Come on, people. Get your thoughts on Marcus McGuane's performance. I think he was quality today. Absolutely quality. Absolutely tremendous from him. We've seen a lot of 8s. So we might go with that. Just making sure everything's okay. 8 and 8. We're getting a lot of 8s. Matthew Bell says 8 with the same profile picture as James Henry. So I think we might have realised that isn't actually James Henry now because you've forgotten to anything, Matthew. But good try, my friend. Good try. Matthew Bell is message retracted. I thought he'd give him an 8. McGuane deserves a goal. He definitely does deserve a goal. He's been fantastic since he joined Oxford United today. 8 and 8. What were you thinking at half time? Sorry, I did actually see that comment you said earlier, and I'm so sorry I didn't read it out. What was I thinking at half time? Half time it was 3-1. 3-1 at half time. Is that right? 3-1 or 4-1 at half time? I definitely should know. No, it would have been 3-1 at half time. Half time, mate. I think I was. I was quite confident. A little bit nervy though, because you never know. Because the next goal at 3-2. You just don't know what's going to happen, do you? Yeah, 3-1 there. You don't know what's going to happen at 3-1. You know what I mean? If they get the next goal, it'd been interesting. Maybe sorry, mate. Wanted to see how gullible you were. Well, I didn't really fall for it, mate. I didn't really fall for it. But Marcus McGuane. We gave him an 8, I think, didn't we? Overall, 8 for him. Right, let's move on to the front three then. We've got 11 people in the chat right now. We're doing our live player ratings. The player ratings for Oxford United versus Burton. Oxford United players chosen by you, the people, the fans, on the podcast right now. So let's move on to the front three then. Let's move on to the left. We'll go with Shadipo. Shadipo is here as well. Shadipo is the next person to give the player ratings as well. Shadipo, what are we thinking? 10 for Alex, for Mide Shadipo. Olamide Shadipo for his full name, but I like to abbreviate it. He's my mate. I met him in Sainsbury's. I actually did. Mide, we're giving him a 9, 10, 9, 9, 10. I mean, we've got an even amount of 9. No, we haven't. We've got one more 9 than we have got 10s. I'm tempted to give him a 9.5. Exactly what Tom Merrill said there. 9.5. 12 people in the chat right now. 12 people. Leave a like. Leave and subscribe if you're new as well. 9, 10, 9.5. Let's give him a 9.5 for Amide Shadipo. He was fantastic today. 2 goals. The reason why he didn't get a 10, I think, is because he didn't score that hat-trick. It was an open goal. It was an absolute sitter. He should have scored it. If you're just joining us, we're doing our live player ratings chosen by you. So let's move on to the strikers then. Strikers, there's only one striker to start with. Matty Taylor scored the opening goal, dinked it over the goalkeeper. Not dinked it, he's sort of volleyed it over the goalkeeper's head into the back of the net. Nothing the Burton defence could do about that. Matthew's given Matty Taylor an 8 out of 10. What are you people giving Matty Taylor? I want to hear from you. Jeremy Mills says 7.5. Alex Della says 8. He is the GOAT. He is the GOAT indeed. I'm pretty sure he's our top, well, definitely is our top goal scorer. I don't think anyone else has got as many goals as James Henry has this season. Matthew Wilson says 7 as well. Henry Radburn says 8. So we're getting a nice little consistency, consistent few numbers there. We're giving an 8, 7.5, 8, 7, 8. I think we give him a 7.5 then, because we've got a lot of 8s, a lot of 7s, 7.5, slap bang in the middle, 7.5 for Matty Taylor. Goal today as well. Of course, got subbed off, but I don't think that was anything to do with his performance. I think that was probably just due to the fact that obviously he did miss the Plymouth game. Apparently he had a dead leg after the game before that, which was Wimbledon. So it makes sense that he got subbed off for Sam Winnell, who came on, didn't do much in the game as well. So let's move on to the final player in the starting lineup. Then we'll move on to the subs. Shadipo, Taylor, and of course James Henry. We've already had the official James Henry in the live stream, of course. I mean, it was actually James Henry, but it was actually it was actually James Henry. It was the actual James Henry was in here right now. He was in the dressing room with the boys. They had it on in the screen. He had Taylor sat next to him, and they were just watching the Young Fan podcast in the dressing room. Malcolm Howard says 9. Welcome to the stream, Malcolm. Don't recognise your name. Welcome to the Young Fan podcast. Welcome to the live match reaction for Oxford United versus Burton. Matthew Wilson says 8.5. We've got a 9, 8.5, 8. Would have given him a 10, but he missed the open net. James Henry did also miss an open net. We had 2 players miss an open net today, Shodipo and Henry. It could have been 7. Could have been 7. Jeremy Mills says 9, or 9 though. He could have been given a 10. So we've got a 9, 8.5, 8, 9. We've got a nice bit of consistency. A few people. Give your thoughts in there as well. We've got 11 people, so give some more numbers for James Henry. What are we thinking on his performance today? Hopefully there's some high ones because it definitely does deserve it. Charlie OFC says hello. Welcome to the stream, mate. We're doing our live player ratings. The player ratings for Oxford United versus Burton 2021 open day thrashing. Against Burton 5-1. We're 12th in the league. We're only 4 points off the playoffs. Life is good to be an Oxford United fan right now. Charlie OFC is coming straight away. He said hello and he's bang. He's got straight back involved. What I like to see. Charlie says 8.5 James Henry. Alex has given him an 8. I think overall we give him an 8.5 for James Henry. We did mention a little bit about his inconsistencies in the stream. I think it was the last stream or the stream before that on the podcast. We did sort of mention a little bit about his inconsistencies as a player at the moment, but I think he's straight back at it today. I think he was absolutely fantastic. Charlie's come and said in 11 points off Swindon. We are 11 points off Swindon, mate, and can you imagine? I know we can't look back on things, but could you imagine if we'd got a better result against Swindon? Because look at where Swindon are now. They're saying hello to League One. Sorry, take a bye to League One, saying hello to League Two. Alex says Swindon are relegated. Alex Gaming says hi. Hello, Alex. How are you doing, my friend? Hopefully you had a good new year. Hopefully you all had a fantastic new year as well. Of course, it's the 2nd of January. Alex Gaming says 8.5. Is that for James Henry, my friend? We gave him an 8.5 overall, mate, so you're absolutely spot on with that as well. You are getting the average of everyone's thoughts perfectly, Alex. Let's quickly move on then to the substitutes. We made all 5 substitutes, which is very rare for Carl Robinson's to do substitutes, this many substitutes. Alex says yes. If you and also new people, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the Unfan Podcast. Turn that notification on as well. Turn that notification bell on as well. That'll be fantastic. You'll always be notified when there's a new episode of the podcast live as well. And like this episode of the podcast as well. We've got 11 people in there right now. So why can't we get 11 likes? Everyone like that episode of the podcast. That would be incredible. Let's move on to substitutions. I'm not going to do it in order of how they came on, because to be honest with you, I can't exactly remember what time they all came on. I know Hansen came on at the same time. So what are we as someone else, which we'll come on to in a minute. I'm pretty sure it was Obita. Hansen and Obita. What are we giving them? We'll start with Hansen. Jamie Hansen came on in midfield for Oxford United today against Burton. What are we giving him as a score out of 10? We've got 12 people right now. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to Oxford United versus Burton. Match reaction live on the Young Fan Podcast. Obita is getting so far. Sorry, this is Hansen. Sorry, 6, 6.5, 6, 6.5. I mean, James says 65. 65 out of 10. 6.5, mate. 6 there as well. 6, 6.5, 6.5, 6, 6.5. I think overall, how many times did I say 6.5 more than I did say 6? I'm going to go with 6.5 because I do get moaned at for being a little bit too harsh on Jamie Hansen sometimes. Sorry, not sorry, James. No, don't worry. No, this is for Hansen. Sorry, I keep getting it mixed up with the Beta. Jamie Hansen, 6.5. I don't think he was unbelievable when he came on. I don't think he was awful when he came on. So I think 6.5 is fair for the ex-Derby man in midfield who came on as a substitute. In a bit more of a higher position than he did from where he started against Plymouth in that defensive midfield role. Obita today, what are we giving him? The winger, he came on for Shodipo. Is that right? He came on for Shodipo. Obita, what are we giving him today? I'm pretty sure he got about 20 or 30 minutes in the game, so he definitely deserves a rating. 6.5, 6. Come on, people, give your thoughts on Obita. Matthew Wilson says 6. Jeremy Mills says 6. 6, 6.5, 6, 6. We're seeing some consistent numbers in the stream right now for Obita's score. 6 from Matthew Bell. Some pretty consistent numbers there. Consistent 6. 6 is average. I think Obita was average. Tom Merrill says 5.5. A little bit harsh, but I mean it's not very far off 6, so I'd say that's probably fair. 6 is average, so Tom's a little bit, tiny bit under average. Everyone else is sort of going with average. I mean, I can see him more 6 and 6 and then 5.5s and 5s. So let's go with Obita getting a 6 out of 10 for his performance against Burton this afternoon. Of course, 5-1 sees us move up to 12th in the league. Let's move on now to the next player that came on. No, this isn't the next player that came on, I don't think. Actually, I think it might be. Cameron Brannigan. No, I think Winnell came on before him. Cameron Brannigan. He is back. He is back. Who else appreciates this guy and thinks he's underrated? Who are you talking about? Cameron Brannigan or Obita? Charlie OUFC says 7. Absolutely, this man, Cameron Brannigan. Cameron Brannigan is incredible. The fact he's back might give him a 7. Charlie says, give him a 10 for just being back. Charlie says 7. Alex says 10. Jeremy Mills says 7.5. Matthew says you, mate. You mean as in I'm underappreciated and I'm underrated? Mate, I can't thank you enough. Honestly, that means so much to me because I love doing this and having you people in this is just absolutely incredible and I can't thank you enough, Matthew. And thank you to everyone, really, that's in the stream right now. I do. It just means a lot. And I'm absolutely loving this, by the way. This is absolutely incredible. I love this interaction with the people. Especially live, it's just unbelievable. I love the podcast. I love what I'm doing. I just love what I'm, hopefully you people are enjoying it, basically. So for Brannigan, we've got a 10, 7.5, 10, 7.5, 10, 7. I think we're getting a few 10s through the fact that it's Cameron Brannigan, and he always deserves a 10. But I think in terms of, if we're talking about what my heart says, I give him a 10 just because he's back. 10 to see him back. But definitely, if we're doing match player ratings, I think we see him a 7. And Jeremy Mills says, love to see him back. 100%, I love to see him back. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10, but just for being back, he deserves a 10. The next player then is Robbie Hall, and then Sam Winnell. We'll start with Robbie Hall then. Rob Hall. What are we giving Robbie Hall and his performance today? Rob Hall came on for not a lot of the game, didn't do too much. 6.5, I think that's probably fair, to be honest with you. Give your thoughts on Robbie Horse. 6.5, 6. Malcolm says 5. 6.5 says Matthew Wilson. 6.5 says Jeremy Mills. Give your thoughts. Tom Merrill says 6 as well. 6.5, 6, 5, 6, 6.5. Let's give him a 6 out of 10. For Robert Hall, average when he came on. Didn't do anything unbelievable, didn't set the world alight, but wasn't bad for any stretch of their imagination. Sam Winnell. What are we giving Sam Winnell? The player that that's come in obviously the summer as sort of a backup striker for Matty Taylor. Apparently he's a bit of a bagsman. We haven't really seen it too much at Oxford United yet due to his injuries at Oxford so far. What are we giving Sam Winnell? The ex-Sheffield Wednesday player, if I'm not wrong. 6, 5, 5.5, 5.5, 6. 6, 6, 5, 5.5, 5.5, 6. Sam Winnell, I think 5.5 is really fair. I know we're meant to be taking the average of everyone. I think there probably are more 6s than there are anything, but I'd probably have to give him a 5.5, to be honest. I don't think he was great. I don't think he really did anything when he came on, to be honest. And he was on for a little while. He was always offside. Exactly. All he did was be offside and just do silly fouls. And silly fouls really frustrate me. I don't know about you people, but when they do stupid fouls where they don't need to do them, and it just allows the opposition to lump a ball forward, it really annoys me. Hopefully Sam Winnell can stay fit and get in form. Of course, we've got 2 weeks till our next game as well, so hopefully the next game we can see Brannigan start, because I think Cameron Brannigan should definitely be starting. Who for though is interesting. Probably Ford in this lineup, probably Kelly in our sort of strongest lineup, I probably have to say. 10 people right now. Leave a like on the episode of the podcast if you haven't already, and subscribe if you're new as well. I want to welcome as many new subscribers to the podcast as always. As well. Final thoughts on the game then, and we'll be wrapping up the stream in just a few minutes. So just give your thoughts, just generally. Ask any questions, what you think. Give your thoughts, just generally anything you'd like to say. Any more comments, I'll be reading them out. I'll be discussing them on the stream right now. Anything else you'd like to say, leave them in the stream. Live chat. And I'll be reading every single one of them out. Alex Della says, Kane Hemmings did not look that great. I mean, he scored the goal, but he literally walked it in the back of the net. So I don't think we can be we can't be gutted that we let him go. You know what I mean? I don't think we can be too frustrated that we let Kane Hemmings go a few years ago. Now that's an interesting question for the chat as well, because I didn't actually know this. Who signed Kane Hemmings for Oxford? Was it Michael Appleton or was it Or was it Carl Robinson? Something tells me it was Michael Appleton. We had him a few years ago and he didn't score for Oxford United. We did score, but he didn't score a lot of goals. Not as much as Matty Taylor scoring. So, it'll be interesting to see what you think there. Matthew Wilson says, who do you reckon will go down? Let's have a look at the live league table. I don't actually have the live league table for you to see on the screen. I really do apologise for that. But, I'll read it out for you. I'll read it out for you anyway. The live league table then. So let's have a look at the league table. Apologise, I'm missing a few chats. I will catch up with every single one of them. By the way, Brighton are losing 3-2, and it's just gone past half time. Wolves are beating Brighton 3-2. 5-goal thriller in that game. I apologise, people, if you want to watch that game and you're watching this. I'm not holding you back. You can watch that game. Maybe you're watching it as well. So the live league table sees Oxford United in 12th, and the bottom at the moment are Wimbledon with 21 points. I mean, it's quite tight. Bristol, Northampton, Wimbledon, Rochdale, Wigan, Swindon, Burton are quite far down the pecking order. They seem quite down there. Harvey Huggins says Oxford United got TikTok last month. Did they? Did Oxford United get TikTok? Harvey, did they get TikTok? By the way, if that's Harvey Huggins, the one I know, I'm pretty sure it is. I don't think there's many Harvey Huggins that I don't know. If that is Harvey Huggins, he's got a very strange profile picture, which is why it might not be, but I think it is. Welcome to the stream, my friend, and welcome to the Unfound Podcast live stream. The question is, who do I think will go down? I think, to be honest with you, who do I think will go down? I think Swindon will go down. If there's any Swindon fans in there, I know this will probably get clipped up when they don't go down. They beat us again, and we go down and they stay up. That's not going to happen, is it? I reckon Swindon will go down. I think Burton will go down. They didn't look great. I think Wigan will go down, and I think it's a toss-up between Wimbledon and Rochdale. I'm going to go with Rochdale. So I've literally gone with the bottom four. So it's not really an interesting question answered there, is it really? I've gone with the bottom four. I don't think they look great. I mean, we could play Rochdale in a few games' time and they beat us. Charlie OC says this time next year there will be an O after the amount of subscribers. This time next year there will be an O after the amount of subscribers. There'll be a K. Oh, okay, you said. You reckon I'm going to get 1,000 subscribers? I don't think I'll be getting 1,000 subscribers, mate. But if I do get 1,000 subscribers and this time next year, then I'll remember that comment and I'll shout you out this time next year. But that reminds me, of course, subscribe if you're new. Jeremy Mills says, you're the GOAT of YouTube with Thogden. I don't know about that, mate. Thogden's quality. Thogden is a quality. And his dad, Thog Dad, what a man. What a man he is. What a duo they are. I wouldn't go that far, mate. I've been doing it for a few months, and he's been doing it for about 3 or 4 years, hasn't he? So I don't think I can be classed as the GOAT. Harvey Huggins says Oxford United got TikTok, like you've already said. And Harvey Huggins says, yes, sir, they did. Yes, sir, they did. And also, I'm pretty sure that is Oxford United. That is the Harvey Huggins I know as well. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to this episode of the podcast. This, of course, will be going up as a video in the next 24 hours or 12 hours. I think it will be going up. So you can watch this and look back and this fantastic victory for Oxford United 5-1. Tom Rose says, don't forget Thogmum, unsung hero. Thogmum does get, I'm pretty sure she brings the tea, doesn't she, for the Thog Dad and Thog Dum when they're watching, do their live watch-alongs. She brings them in like coffee and tea and stuff. I don't know how much of an appearance she makes. Alex Fox says, yes, you are the GOAT. Alex Fox, mate, thank you very much for coming into the live stream. How are you doing, my friend? How are you doing? We haven't spoken in a little while, mate. How are you doing? And same with Harvey as well. Hopefully football will be back on, Harvey, so we can each of them. Alex, thank you very much. Alex and everyone that's in the stream, but Alex, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Charlie says one went viral, 30k likes. I'm gonna have to look this up right now. I'm gonna have to look up. I don't think I can play it though because I get copyright striked if I could start playing TikToks on a live YouTube. So I'll definitely have a look at that off stream. But thank you everybody that's reminded me of that. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this episode of the podcast. Like I said, this will be going up as a video in the next 12 hours. I really do appreciate every single one of you that's come into the podcast episode today. I really do appreciate it. Thank you all. Subscribe if you're new. Leave a like on this episode of the podcast if you enjoyed it. Subscribe, like I said, if you're new. And leave a like if you haven't already. I appreciate every single one of you. And I'll see you in a bit. Thank you, everybody. Alex Fox says, good. Happy New Year. And that's a great way to end the stream. Happy New Year to you all. Happy New Year, Alex. And I see you.